Take heed, therefore, unto yourselves and to all the flock, over which the Holy Ghost has made you overseers, to feed the church of God, which he has purchased with his own blood. For I know this, that after my departing there shall be grievous wolves entering in among you, not sparing the flock.
Kingdom Music.
I didn't think that I would be making another video that included Bryann T. I had originally first spoke about him in my part 3 Christian hip hop video Exposed, which received quite a bit of kickback in support of Bryann T. I actually thought that making that video of those three, that Bryann T segment would be the shortest, but it had turned out to be the longest, which was surprising to me because I felt like Marcus Rogers and Bryson Gray were the worst. But looking at it now, it was Bryann T that was the worst of the three. See, what makes Bryann T more dangerous is because he's like a silent spiritual killer. He goes undetected like carbon monoxide, which is referenced as a silent killer because it's odorless, tasteless, and it leaves you confused, and without enough oxygen, you'll lose consciousness, and left in that state, you will eventually die. And that's how Bryann T operates. His deception is undetectable, and his messages leaves you dazed and confused. Bryann T will suck the oxygen right out of the air, and you're not even aware of that he's doing it. Bryann T is leading you straight into a spiritual death, and that's what makes him a silent killer.
Tonight, this guest that I have, I've been trying to get him on for a while. He's a very busy man. Brian Trejo, my brother, what's going on? Welcome to the show.
What's up, brother Derek? How you doing tonight? What's up, brother Derek? How you doing tonight?
For the viewers that have not seen this clip in my part 3 Exposed on hip hop, that was Bryann T having a live stream with Derek with the channel name Truth Seeker. Derek is an occultic new ager that Bryann T refers to as a brother in Christ. Now, the reason that I'm bringing that clip up again is because I want to show a track record on how Bryann T will wave anything in that says the name of Jesus. It's like that's the only secret password that they need to know with Bryann T. Bryann T has this kumbaya, let's all hold hands, love is love attitude with everyone. As long as you have your sheep costume on, you're good. Next up, you will be hearing about Bryann T talking about Mike Todd, who has recently had an incident where he was spitting in his hand and then wiping it on a church member's face.
Everything on my timeline right now is about Pastor Mike Todd and the spitting incident in the video. And can I be honest? It hurts my heart that a lot of the leaders and a lot of the people that we respect and we look up to, man, nobody's saying to pray for our brother, pray for he's a brother in the faith, pray for his heart, his family. People make mistakes, man. He's helped a lot of people, man. And just one mistake, everybody comes out. Everybody wants to see. Everybody forgets about all the good they do.
The first issue is that Bryann T addresses Mike Todd in a respectful way as pastor and brother in Christ. Now, once again, Bryann T did not do any research on Mike Todd, because if he had, then he would have already realized that Mike Todd is a false teacher, a straight up wolf in sheep's clothing. Now, because I didn't want to spend too much time exposing Mike Todd, You're more than welcome to go to YouTube, and there's several exposed videos about all of his false teachings. But I also want to say that Bryann T is in darkness, and that's why he is unable to see clearly. And I know that that is a bold claim or statement to make, but if you allow this video to play out, you will understand more as I show you all the other evidence as to why I say that. Now, I also want to mention that Bryann T said that Mike Todd has done a lot of great things. Now, doesn't God say that even the wicked give good gifts? Now, just because you do good deeds, that in itself does not make you right with God, nor saves anyone's soul. Another false teacher that Bryann T supports is Marcus Rogers. Bryann T has shown his support of Marcus Rogers in several ways. One of them has been collaborating with Marcus Rogers on Christian rap music. Bryann T has also featured Marcus Rogers on his Christian rap music. They have also had church together and support each other's church. In this next clip, you will see Bryann T's brother-in-law, who is representing Kingdom Music Ministry at a church that Marcus Rogers is featured
we're here
at.
for the Triple R event, man. Heights Foursquare Church in Terrace Heights. If you can get out here, get out here. If not, watch this recap video. It's a beautiful church. We're gonna be having some great lineup. We got our local ministry, Triple R. We're gonna be performing for Jesus, worshiping, and then we got Antoine Hill, Kingdom Music, and Pastor Marcus Rogers. Man, it's gonna be lit.
Brother and Pastor Marcus Rogers and the team up here. If you're glad to be in the house of God, open up your mouth and give him a shout. Now somebody give him the praise that you think he's
Marcus Rogers is a false teacher and is not called by God to lead. Marcus has been married 3 times and is a admitted adulterer in those marriages. Marcus also is well known for falsely prophesying a failed prophecy. Marcus also interprets the Bible saying that you have to speak in tongues in order to show evidence that you are saved. Now, Bryan Trejo still supports Marcus Rogers in all of this when he is clearly not qualified.
Yo, doctrines, discord, and division. Let me tell you something. I done seen a whole lot of dividing going on right in the church, and it breaks my heart.
Whoever transgresses and does not abide in the doctrine of Christ does not have God. He who abides in the doctrine of Christ has both the Father and the Son. If anyone comes to you and does not bring this doctrine, do not receive them in your home, nor bid them Godspeed. For he that bids him Godspeed is a partaker of his evil deeds.
So look, I woke up today, and the other day, man, that before the show, it said we getting tattooed. His name KB, right? So it's no division, nothing. Just so y'all know where I'm coming at. Um, and I seen that he was one of his homies would get. He was like, man, we getting tatted before the show, just like that. We getting tatted before the show. Homie was getting a tattoo. That's what they put, and I'm sitting there. I wasn't even gonna say nothing. I was like, dang, why did he post that? That was publicly. I'm thinking about, man, there's a lot of influence this dude has. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't think it was wise to post. Everyone knows how we feel at this ministry, but that's his ministry, so I can't say nothing. But publicly wise, like of influence, I was like from another leader to a leader. I was like, let me just remind him this ain't wise. Like, because if not, man, that blood's on my hands. Like, well, I ain't gonna say nothing. I tell everybody else there's a mocos in their nose, right? Like I tell the whole world that.
Bryann T was giving a very public rebuke to another Christian rapper's ministry about Christians getting tattoos, who he also refers to as an influencer. Now, what I also find interesting about Bryann T is that he has zero problem speaking against tattoos, but he won't speak publicly against false doctrine. Bryann T also mentioned that if he doesn't warn others, then the blood will be on his hands, which I find ironic because he'll warn about tattoos, but not about false doctrine that can damn someone to hell. See, if Bryann divides over doctrine, then he'll have to divide his money income flow from his followers. Not to mention other bigger name channels that may promote Bryann and may not want to partner with him after they truly know what Bryann T believes. Not to mention, if Bryann started poking at others' ministries' false doctrine, then they in turn will start poking at Bryann T's ministry, which we will all find out that Bryann T is not as knowledgeable and well studied on the Bible like he has everyone thinking that he is. And it will definitely show how Bryann T does not understand the Bible.
So it's just not a wise choice, man. I've always saluted the Jesus inside of you. I think this is a stumbling block for the younger generation, right? I said, I think you should have been promoting, instead of getting tatted, you should have promoted preparation, prayer, fellowship. I just thought it was the wrong preparation to promote. Even if you were going to do it, don't promote it because your influence is so great that you're going to mislead the younger ones. I just feel like you poking your needle with a skin, right? Poking your skin with a needle. I just feel like it hurts. And that's like a form of self mutilation. Like blood come out of it. I got tattoos everywhere.
I had already mentioned on my Christian Hip Hop Part 3 Exposed video about how Bryann T was still subscribed to World Star Hip Hop. I had also mentioned in that video that it was a possible stumbling block, especially for younger people, to be drawn back into that evil hip hop world. Seeing Bryann T still sub to World Star Hip Hop is definitely a temptation for others and could be seen by others that it's okay to still watch World Star Hip Hop because they see Bryann T still sub there. I know that some people will just chalk this up to not really being a big deal, but in God's eyes, this is huge. Also, if you remember, Bryann T said himself that they as leaders need to be very careful on how they influence others.
I think this is a stumbling block for the younger generation.
This next YouTube channel that Bryan Trejo is subscribed to is called Campus Muscle. Now, I'm not sure if this channel is part of the Kingdom Music Ministry or not, because the Campus Muscle channel has ministry as part of his description of his channel. He also has a similar crest symbol as Kingdom Ministry, and also Bryann T's brother-in-law is taking a picture with that content creator of Muscle Campus. But be careful that your freedom does not cause those who are weak in the faith to fall into sin. For Bryann to be a leader to promote him on his channel just further shows that Bryann T has no understanding of who God is. Bryann T seems to only embrace the attributes of God that he likes, and he disregards the rest. Bryann clearly does not know the Lord, because if he did, he would have had conviction and understanding as to why we as believers shouldn't promote things like this. Bryann T is a huge stumbling block for people. Bodybuilders comes with so much darkness. It turns you into a lover of yourself, boastful, prideful, brings others into lust and idolatry. Not to mention that most times bodybuilders is associated with dangerous muscle enhancing drugs that often result in your body shutting down, that eventually leads to death.
What's going on, guys? I assume you have probably recently saw the news on social media, either on YouTube or Instagram, that Shawn Rhoden has passed away at the age of 46 due to a heart attack. I've met Shawn. He trains at the same gym as me here in Las Vegas. Over the last couple of years, bodybuilders have been dropping like flies. You know, Rich Piana, Dallas McCarver, now Shawn Rhoden. And these are just the names you guys hear about because they have large followings. There is many more who just don't have a following that aren't talked about. Number one, anabolics. Number two would be insulin. And then number three would be if they're involved in a party scene and they're throwing everything that they take party-wise, goodie-wise on top of what they're already doing. So this needs to be talked about because the IFBB turns their head when it comes to actually looking out for the health and being proactive about taking care of their athletes. Now, I know a vast majority of the people who are familiar with gear know that obviously gear, steroids, anabolics, they increase the size of your muscles. Now, what a lot of people don't really think about, especially when they're young and jumping into competing and everything, the heart is a muscle. So unlike SARMs that bind to the androgen receptors, which means they only go to the muscles, anabolics target everything in your entire body. Your prostate, your heart, your liver. So obviously, if you're a top tier IFBB competitor who is stepping on the bodybuilding stage, pushing your body on a yearly basis in order to make your salary, as your muscle size increases on the way you look on the outside, the same thing's happening internally. So you're already putting more strain on your heart just from the things you're taking, that regardless if you're living a healthy lifestyle, it's gonna catch up to you. Then you heard me mention insulin, which is one where you could literally die just by injecting the wrong amount.
This next issue that I am now getting ready to bring up about Bryann Trejo is something that I have to admit really, really grieved me. This next segment is actually what prompted this whole video. Bryann Trejo had partnered up with Rise Church to make a profit and a game about the spiritual battle that we are all in. Not only just that, Bryan T in that church is making a huge mockery of the spiritual battle. That spiritual battle should never be turned into a game or taken lightly. It's a very serious war, but Bryann Trejo has turned it into a joke that you will later see.
And to take the things of God serious, because it's sacred. It's sacred. I think so many times we forget that it's sacred and we just do what we want to do. You know what I mean?
Rise Church, I believe, reached out to Bryan T after seeing how much of a following and influence he has. So from a business standpoint, they wanted to use Bryan T to help promote their Halloween Demon Hunter event. If you look up Demon Hunter Expo from Rise Church, you will see how much they build this event up as fun, exciting, and as a great adventure. Jesus is not even mentioned on their pages or in any of the videos, at least from what I saw.
One story from last year, the very first year that you did it, that stuck out to you the most.
Yeah.
Testimony.
We had it was our first weekend. We had a guy come off the battle wagon. He was like 50 years old. He pulled me aside. He said, "Hey, you got a chance? I need to talk to you." And I said, "Sure." He said, "I want you to know something. I've been an alcoholic for 20 years. I've been clean for 4. And when the demon of alcoholism came out and I put him down with that paintball gun," he said, "it did something to me inside. And I can't thank you enough. I want to thank you for sharing this experience. I'll be back next year or next week with our entire youth group." And next week they brought like 38 kids back and went through the whole Demon Hunter Expo. That was an exciting, that's when it hit me that it's like, hey, this is more than just paintballs. This is more than just biblical stories. This is making it relevant to today. And it was exciting just to hear that story. And there was many more just like that.
Another thing about Bryann Trejo in this video that was made to promote the event for Rise Church is that everything was done in Bryann Trejo's own strength. It looked like Bryann was the hero in this video, and choosing to wear all black was another poor choice. Usually the villains and the people that want to look like they're tough guys wear black. The Lord was obviously not the star in this video. Bryann Trejo was.
Looking for a night of spooky family fun? We may just have the answer. Rise Church of Abilene has come up with a unique way for people to enjoy paint guns, screams, and personal relief during the month of October.
KRBC's Miriam Chamberlain experienced the Demon Hunter Expo hunt firsthand and now takes us through the trail.
Everybody, welcome to Demon Hunter Expo. Everybody, make some noise, you guys. Make some noise.
Imagine boarding a wagon, locked and loaded on a mission to search and destroy all types of demons, even the personal ones.
Well. When you get on the battle wagon here at Demon Hunter Expo, you're part of the story.
The next part of this is to show how these guys are making buku money off of this Demon Hunter Expo event. But first, I have to say that I had to chuckle to myself when I first saw these two, because they reminded me of salespeople trying to sell you some timeshare somewhere in Florida. But in this case, they're just trying to sell you donation lies to amp up their revenue intake for themselves. Now, I will be focusing more on Todd, who I believe is grooming this younger man on how to make a business out of church. In this YouTube video, these guys are talking about the Demon Hunter Expo event and how it's going to sell out. They are also speaking about how all the donations are going to go to this all men's discipleship home. That's a 6-month free program for males who are recovering from substance abuse and or suffering from mental health issues, which I will also be speaking about this discipleship program a little bit later, because I'm going to tie this whole thing all together and show you all who Bryann T is partnering himself up with. Now, I want to start off with the financial part of this. Todd here, who is the creator of Demon Hunter Expo, is speaking about how this event is going to sell out. He is also mentioning that this expo will be a 15-day event in October that will be able to hold 198 people per day. The tickets are $35 per person. So let's do some math here. So Todd from Rise Church has made over $100,000 in just 15 days, all tax-free. Not to mention the additional revenue brought in from the paying sponsors of this event. Even if this event didn't sell out every night, they still made a good bit of money there. I know that some people may argue that all that money will be supporting that discipleship home. Well, I hate to disappoint you, but I assure you that only a small portion of those funds will actually be used to supporting that cause. You would think that with all those donations pouring in, that they could afford a 24/7 security at that place, especially with those men having troubled backgrounds. Maybe if they pay for the round-the-clock security and more organized staff, then probably they would have avoided a murder that took place in the year 2021.
Now to an early morning homicide in North Abilene. A Lubbock man has lost his life in an overnight stabbing at an Abilene drug rehab facility. Bryann Chamberlain is at the scene with details.
Early this morning around 2:39 a.m., police say a 42-year-old male from Lubbock was repeatedly stabbed here at the Rise Discipleship home.
Another thing that I wanted to add to that is that I did hear about a testimony regarding Rise Church Disciple in-home program, and they said that there was a lot of wicked things happening behind closed doors in that discipleship program. This is Todd, who I had already brought up earlier. He runs the Torched Custom Designs, which he has attached that business to the discipleship's home. He's running that wood shop business from that same address under the church name. Now, Rise Church advertises that their 6-month discipleship outreach program is completely free. And I want to bring up an argument to that, because it's not really free for those guys. Todd has them working in his business shop, making wood furniture and other wood crafts to sell on their website, which isn't cheap. I couldn't find anything under $30. So my belief is that Todd is using these guys' free labor and then later turning around and selling it and making a profit from that. He also uses these guys from the disciple home to play the demons in his Demon Expo hunt. These church leaders that are in charge of all this knows exactly what they are doing. But they need these guys at the discipleship home program to continue coming into that home because that's what's making their money. And they're just using them for that purpose. Because if that disciple home stopped having those guys there, then they would stop making the profit that they're making now. So I'm praying that people will start seeing the truth of this and also see that Bryann T co-signs to anything. And I've been wavering back and forth. I'm like, is he just that unaware? Is he just in that much delusion? Or is he part of these guys and knows exactly what he's doing? Because part of me also feels like Bryann has this like false humility to make it seem like he's really humble, and that's really attractive to the majority of the people. Don't get me wrong, we all need to be humble, but I feel like there's that false humility, that false humbleness that people have. And also, yes, we will know people by their fruit, but there is a such thing as fake fruit. And there's a lot of people out there toting that.
You do have to have watchmen. I don't feel like I'm like I get to a level where can't nobody tell me. If I start wilding out, hold me accountable. If I start misrepresenting the gospel, hold me accountable, man. Hold me accountable. Because if God entrusted us to be leaders of influence, you know what I mean? We just can't be poets. Some things we can't do as influence.